the award he's getting tonight is called the Global Health Catalyst. And it's not for your car.
Did I help you invent that? Did I invent it and be the first awardee?
It is because our byline is catalyzing clinical research to improve global health. So you are a global health catalyst. You've been a friend of the forum ever since I started, which was in 2001, and have just been, and I'm just going to, well, right now I'm just speaking on behalf of the forum, has been a friend and a supporter and a cheerleader and an advisor and a confidant and a bridge builder and a connector for us. And it's just been a wonderful, wonderful time. And you deserve a wonderful retirement, but we miss you on a day-to-day basis. But of course, your role in all the networks, the ECTG, the pediatric research, the prevention research, your tireless consistency and persistence, I think I would describe it. Would you agree? Consistency and persistence. Yeah, persistence to keep these.
I'd like it a little sometimes.
Yeah, to keep the collaborations moving, making sure the sites have the drugs they need, and just always being the person, often behind the scenes, that just keeps pushing things forward. And for that, I think all of us here appreciate you so much. And we would like you to present to you. This is the first award with this name, called the Global Health Catalyst.
I've known you close to 40 years, at least 35, and what makes Jim so special is he's a brilliant scientist, but he has been a facilitator of all this research. I mean, he is one of the major reasons we have PrEP. It was not an easy sell, but I remember first meeting Jim in the era of BISPOC, PMPA. I mean, and those of us who've been doing this for a long time remember these drugs, that category of drugs, we didn't think it was going to be so great. I mean, remember Adefovir and like all the patients were like all that nephrotoxicity. When Bob Grant started approaching him, he was very open and really facilitated it. It definitely was, a big sell for the company to like take that risk and think about antiretrovirals for prevention in that way. And Jim was there every step of the way. I remember when we unblinded the results, he was there. Very much a partner from the get-go, and we could not be doing this work without you, Jim. It's really end of an era, but hopefully not an end of a friendship for you with all the people here in the room, all your friends and admirers, and thank you for all you've done for us.
When I met you, Jim, I think it was before you were at Gilead, actually. It's been many, many, many years.
Welcome, yeah.
Yes, and but just speaking for the HPTN, the HIV Prevention Trials Network, I think you've been an amazing partner. I don't actually ever remember us going to Jim and asking for something and he said no. It's remarkable. I mean, just his interest in supporting the science and being there to help the studies get off the ground, just so consistent. It's really amazing. And the other thing is also important is you just, because you've been in all these protocol teams, and I don't know if you've ever counted how many conference calls you've been on, but it's been a lot, but you've always been a team member, and just the respect you had for everybody on the team is very special. So just on behalf of everybody and all your friends here and beyond, thank you for everything, and enjoy your retirement and the wine cellar and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I just want to echo what Wafa said from the network perspective, both ACTG and IMPACT, and Reprieve. I mean, the number of studies that Jim helped facilitate behind the scenes, it's not something that people see and realize. Like, we could not do these studies if we didn't have the drugs. And some of them have really long gestation periods where I'm sure the company's like, you said you were going to have this drug in the study, but like, when is it opening? When's that first patient going to get in there? And I think that it's just been such an important partnership. We know that you've contributed so much and everyone has learned from you. on calls at 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. in
Well, you're a
California.
California
Yeah,
person
right.
too, so you know the
Right.
schedule for that.
That's been a challenge, but it has made a world of difference, and I think sometimes we don't really fully acknowledge that. But your personal involvement and the way that you've conducted yourself is we are going to miss you, and you've really left your mark on the field.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I will say both for the ACTG and also for the PTN. Gilead had some programs in the developing world, but very limited. But most of our patients would be in the developing world. So without the guidance, assistance, and help that the networks provided, we wouldn't have been able to determine whether our drugs worked or not, or whether they'd be helpful, and we'd be able to plan to make them available through our access program or whatever else. So it really was a partnership, and one I really enjoyed being part of. So I had the privilege of being on the Gilead side and getting to interact with all the smart people and the great networks outside. I love the forum, as you know. It's enabled so many things through the field and allowed us to develop many of our antiretroviral as well as our other antiviral products. One of the few places where you can gather with community, along with investigators, government researchers, industry, and regulators. And it's one of the few spots you can do that allows a free exchange of information that helps inform everyone and helps to advance the field. And I'm very appreciative also. I mean, I've been very lucky, trained as a clinical virologist, and had an opportunity to work with so many smart, hardworking, innovative investigators and researchers across the globe, and help to address some very important unmet medical needs. And I was fortunate to work for some companies, Burroughs Wellcome being one, and Glaxo Wellcome being another, and then of course Gilead. And we were fortunate to be able to develop some drugs that could help meet some of those unmet medical needs. And my job, well, originally my job was to help develop them, but my job then subsequently was to find the best use for those products. And we were fortunate that there was funding available outside, government funding and other things, which, you know, obviously is something that's changed radically in the last year, but it really did enable 20, 30 years of research that allowed us to build block by block both the research infrastructure and to best know how the virus worked and how the medicines could address them, and also an implementation to figure out how best to make these products available. Because of course, if patients can't get into patients, and the patients can't take them, and they're not going to work. So anyway, thank you to you in the forum, and thank you to all my colleagues and friends here. I really do consider you all my friends.